So one of Pierre Bourdieu's points is that certain works of art require an education in order to even unlock them or understand them in the first place. And so without the education, you get in, say, a college classroom like this one, it's not even, you won't understand it, and so you won't like it. He goes on in this paragraph to say, the logic of what is sometimes called, in a typically pedantic language, the reading of a work of art, meaning how do you understand it, how do you interpret it, offers an objective basis for this opposition. Consumption is, in this case, a stage in a process of communication. That is an act of deciphering, decoding, which presupposes a practical or explicit mastery of a cipher or code. See, only some people can understand it. Only some people can decipher Shakespeare, but you need a little bit of an education in Shakespeare in order to be willing to take the time to do it. In a sense, one could say that the capacity to see is a function of the knowledge or of concepts, the words that are available to visible things, and which are, as it were, programs for perception. Right? If you don't understand something, you're not really going to see it. Right? If you're going to go in a museum and you're going to have so much more. You're going to have so much more that you can see that's going to make sense to you, and so you're going to have access to it in a way that other people don't. Okay, cool. Let's keep going in here. I'm going to finish this paragraph, and then I'm going to get to some more interesting examples. So he says, a work of art has meaning and interest only for someone who possesses the cultural competence, that is the code into which it is encoded. Right? You got to understand what the art is before you can like it or dislike it. The conscious or unconscious implementation of explicit or implicit schemes of perception and appreciation, which constitutes pictorial or musical culture, is the hidden condition for recognizing the styles and characteristics of a period, school, or author, and more generally, for the familiarity with internal logic of works that aesthetic enjoyment presupposes. A beholder who lacks the specific code feels lost in a chaos of sounds and rhythms, colors and lines without rhyme or reason. Right? If someone hasn't taken this class, they're going to find a lot of art to be incredibly confusing and difficult. But you guys, this class has unlocked the code of a lot of art for you guys, because we've been talking about different ways of looking at art, and so more art makes more sense to you. Shakespeare makes more sense to you because you've spent time with him in a college classroom, and so you're more likely to like Shakespeare when all of this is over. And then you got to get into questions of, well, wait a minute, not everybody can go to college. And even the people that go to college aren't necessarily going to be writing in lit majors. So it has to do with, so for example, a lot of my students who don't have a lot of money, their parents won't let them major in writing and literature because they're like, you have to major in something practical, like accounting or something, or respiratory therapy. And so they don't get to take this class. But then if you don't take this class, the art isn't accessible. Or it's less likely. And Pierre Bourdieu, obviously there are always exceptions. Pierre Bourdieu is a sociologist. He doesn't give a shit about that. He's talking about large-scale groups. Okay, let's get to the more interesting part. Let's get an example, a good one. I got a good example to get us started thinking about Bourdieu. Alcohol. Let's talk about alcohol for a little bit. So the question of why do people drink alcohol? If I ask a room full of people this, they tend to give me the same answer. My students tend to say, well, it gets you drunk. People want to be drunk. That's true, and you're right. But then the second question that comes up is, okay, if the reason you drink alcohol is to get drunk, why are there so many different ways of drinking alcohol? Why are there so many different types, right? I mean, if the aim is to get drunk, do you need hundreds of different kinds of alcohol? And if you've ever spent time in a bar, particularly fancier bars in New York City, there are so many different types of alcohol. And for obviously types of alcohol, because you have wine, which has red wine and white wine, and you've got beer, and you've got, hard liquor like whiskey, vodka. But boy, if you're interested in any of that, if you're interested in wine, there's hundreds and hundreds of different types of wine from all these regions all over the world. There's thousands of different kinds of beers. There's so many different kinds of scotch, of whiskey, of vodka. And people will be like, oh, this vodka's from this region, and this whiskey is from this place, and this blah, 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 blah. And then mixed drinks. There's so many different ways to mix alcohol with various fruit juices and energy drinks, and right, you can, you vodka and Red Bull, or you can do so obviously, I get the point. Alcohol is there to get you drunk, but there's so many different kinds of alcohol. And then you say, why? Okay. Well, one of the reasons why is they got different tastes. And so people want to choose different things to drink because maybe they prefer the taste of this kind of alcohol to the taste of this other kind of alcohol. Now, when Pierre Bourdieu is talking about taste, he's talking about like your taste is that you prefer this movie to that movie on the basis of what? On the basis of taste. But we're talking about literal taste with the tongue now, right? I'm making an example out of alcohol. So let's talk about how you select alcohols. If I ask you why you like this alcohol instead of that other alcohol, usually what people will tell you is they prefer the taste. That's just tastes better. I like this better. And if you give them something they don't like, they'll be like, ooh, that tastes terrible. Oh, whiskey, that's terrible. I want wine. Or wine, oh, that's terrible. I don't want to drink wine. I'd rather get drunk on, Hennessy or something. And so people will pick their alcohol that they like. And if you ask them why they like it, they're going to tell you it just tastes better. That's what they prefer. And usually there's no other discussion. It just stops because what else are you going to say? If somebody says they like vanilla ice cream and you like chocolate ice cream, you're not going to try to change their mind, right? I mean, people like what they like, whatever. Most people think these likes and dislikes, they're natural. You're born with it. Some people are born liking ice cream, and some people are born liking vanilla ice cream, some people are born liking chocolate ice cream. And so when you ask people why they're getting the alcohol, they're going to say to get drunk. And you go, okay, but why this alcohol? And they're going to be like, well, I like the taste. And then that's it. You can't really ask him any more questions. But Pierre Bourdieu has some other thoughts on this subject that make the whole thing much more complicated. Because Pierre Bourdieu is going to talk about groups. And here's the thing. The alcohol that you drink, Pierre Bourdieu says two things. It is a product of the groups you are a member of. That's religion, ethnicity, gender, class. And it also indicates what groups you would like to be a member of, because when you order alcohol, you're doing so in front of other people, which means you are advertising your preferences to them. And this gets quite complicated quite fast. So let's start with some simple examples. One of the reasons why people drink alcohol is there's like a group cohesion. It solidifies members of a group. I myself don't drink alcohol. So let's start with that example. I don't drink. And as a result, when I go out with people and everybody's drinking, occasionally I will get people who are annoyed that I'm not drinking. See, because when everybody says, oh, I'll have a wine, I'll have a glass of 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 wine, and then I go, none for me. And the waiter takes my glass of wine away. And some people are like, oh, you're not drinking. Oh, this is special. You should have. Oh, it's a special treat. We're having an event. You should drink the alcohol. And I'm like, I don't fucking shut the fuck up. I don't want the alcohol. But they want me to drink because we're doing it together. It's a group. That's why sometimes when you go out to a bar, someone will be like, oh, I'm gonna get around for everybody. See, because it's the group cohesion. It keeps the way the group stays the group is because everybody in the group does the same thing. Just like basketball players all wear the same uniform. And so people, they're drinking together. When I don't want alcohol, some people feel like it's like I'm marking myself. I'm saying I'm an outsider in your group. Imagine going to a bar with a bunch of people and everybody in your group orders white wine. Maybe you're at a baby shower, okay, and everybody gets white wine. I'll have a white wine. I'll have a white wine. Give me a white wine. I'll have a white wine. Oh, this is nice. I'll have a white wine. And then you say, I'll have 2 double scotches. Which is 4 drinks, by the way. If you have two, because 2 double scotches is 4 drinks. If you have 2 double scotches and everybody else is having white wine, do you see how that is? It's like you're communicating to the group. I'm not a member of your fucking group. I'm forced to be here, because it's like saying to everybody, hey, everybody, I'm not like you. It's group cohesion, and it screws it up. Now, I have a lot more to say about this. We're going to pick up this alcohol example in the next video.